Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Feldenkrais Move Better, Feel Better Summit. My name is Lavinia Plonka, and I'm delighted to be your host for this track, which we are calling Discovering Abilities from Disabilities. And I'm really honored to have as our guest today, Paul Linden, who, I don't know, I've known about Paul for so many years because of his experience and his reputation as an Aikidoist and as a Feldenkrais teacher. Paul studied with Moshe Feldenkrais and has integrated his work as a Feldenkrais practitioner and as an Aikidoist into a way of using movement to help people address the whole self, not just the physical, but the mental and the emotional. And I love what Paul said in his bio. He, at the very end, he said, oh, and he has had Parkinson's for 18 years and has found ways to work with it. So welcome, Paul. It's really great to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to be able to speak and move all at the same time.
Exactly. And we don't realize what a precious gift that is until we start to have challenges with it. You know, you wrote an essay that you published in a newspaper. And by the way, we're going to be sharing the essay with the people who are here at the summit. But there was a wonderful paragraph in it, and I wanted to share that as a way to open up our conversation, if that's okay with you, because I feel like it addresses many of the things that you've been talking about. You wrote, having Parkinson's is inconvenient, but if I get frustrated or irritated at it, the tremors increase and the disease feels worse. The more I meet Parkinson's with an attitude of compassionate engagement and relaxed strength, the better my body functions. This is not philosophy, it's physiology. So I would love to open our dialogue up by having you kind of expand a little bit on that.
Okay. The way I usually talk is by having people experiencing something. Then there's something to talk about. So if I may, if I were to, let's see here, have a weapon right here handy. I usually keep some weapons around. And if I were to throw this at you, what do you do? Intellectually, you know, I couldn't reach you even if I wanted to.
Right.
But does anything happen in your breathing or your posture when I
Well,
throw it with viciousness?
well, you know, what happened each time was that my eyes, it was just a little tiny bit, but my eyes widened. I could feel that happening.
And there's probably changes in the rest of your body as well. There usually are for most people. I never know till I ask.
Right.
But that is what I call the distress response. You
Uh-huh.
can tighten, you can collapse, you can dissociate, you can do all of them. You can leave parts of your body or parts of the environment. You can go into anger and fear, numbness. All of that is a smallifying, I use the word, making yourself smaller. And
Mm-hmm.
the essence of what I do in all of my work is to open myself. Now, if I open myself to my attacker, is this a more or less vulnerable position than this? Most people would say this is safe, this is defensive, but it's like driving with your eyes shut. They can't see you, so they can't hit you, right? No. If you can't see them, they can still hit you. If I do this, I'm withdrawing from the environment, I'm withdrawing from my power, I'm withdrawing from my compassion, and I can't function. If I open myself to my attacker, then I can do what I need to do with it. It's killing them with kindness or taking to therapy, whichever I can do. So if I do that with Parkinson's, I've gotten to the point where I can usually I can still myself that way, and I
Mm-hmm.
can keep it up for as long as I want, as long as I don't want to talk. I don't quite have the bandwidth yet to divide my attention. In Aikido, which I'm much more practiced at, I can be in myself and in the attacker at the same time. Does that give you a sense of how I work?
It does give me a sense of how you work. I think that um, I would love it if you could expand a little bit about this being in yourself. It's words until we actually have a practice that we can engage in. I was wondering if you could guide us a little bit into
Yeah.
how, I mean, I saw you do it, but how can you bring us into that place to
Mhm.
calm?
Let me think. You have too many noses. What do you do when I get in your face and attack you? It's a stupid attack, but it's a nice one. You
Okay.
probably pay attention to me, right?
I was fascinated by your nose, to tell you the truth.
Okay, but did you forget yours?
Absolutely.
Okay. How can you feel your nose? Do this. Honk, 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 honk.
Honk,
Keep
honk.
honking your nose. You have too many noses. What happened to your attention that time?
I was holding my nose.
And
My
probably,
attention was completely on my nose.
were you aware that I was coming close to you?
Um, yeah, sort of out
Okay,
of the corner of my eye. You know, it's
that's all
kind of
I'm
weird
saying.
with Zoom.
Yeah, right. But the point is, you weren't completely in your nose, or you wouldn't have noticed me.
True, very true.
So that's the play. You go back and forth between the inward and the outward focus, practicing each so you can do them a little bit, somewhat slightly together, till you get good enough at it. Then, when something attacks you, you can draw on your practice and you have some familiarity with being in here and out there. Because if you lose either one, the phrase I often use is power without love is brutality. Love without power is ineffective. You have to have both. And also focusing outward, if you forget yourself, you can't do anything. If you don't, if you remember yourself, but you forget what's out there, you still can't do anything. If you were walking down the tracks, train tracks, you saw a train come, you'd relax, open your heart, open your feet. Did I forget something?
You bet.
I forgot to move.
Right.
You have to do both. You can't just deal with the inner or the outer. It takes training. We're not naturally like that.
You're reminding me of a principle that we talk a lot about in Feldenkrais. And of course, I mean, you do use it in Aikido as well, but this idea of foreground and background, of being able to be specific and general at the same time, being able to include more than one principle of my proprioceptive world in a way. Does that resonate with kind of
Yeah,
what you were saying?
very much. An example I can give, this is a weird example, but most of my examples are weird. If you've heard the phrase, you can't say yes until you can say no. You can't fully give yourself to anything until you can draw a boundary and not participate if you choose.
Okay.
One of the things I once said to a client who was having some issues in this domain, I said, you can't make love to anybody you can't kill. She said, what? And I said, if you're not fully safe through your own efforts, no matter what the other person does, you can't fully be open to them. She said, that makes sense. And then she went back to her therapist and told her that. And the therapist said, what? I have a flair, I think, for the dramatic, but it's the same kind of thing. You have to have both ends of the pole. Can you cut the end off a lot so there's only one end on it?
So that's really interesting to me because if I'm trying, and I'm saying the word trying because I'm
No,
not
it
always
hurts.
successful, um, to feel this open, loving expansiveness, then where does my power come from?
From
Because
that,
if I have the power to be able to kill the one I love, where is that power if I'm open and expansive?
the answer to your question, my background, my original academic background was in language philosophy. And part of the way I address the body is by looking at the way people use language. You're
Hmm.
saying is power, where does power come from when you're in your love? I'm saying power and love are identically the same thing, just spelled differently. So you can't have power unless you have love, or vice versa. So if you have power, in the sense in which I mean it, then you have to have love because it'll be self-destructive, brittle, tight, and non-functional eventually without the love.
So, a question that has been on my mind ever since I've read all your stuff um, has to do with, I have cats. Do you have any pets?
No, not at the moment.
But you know how, and Feldenkrais talked a lot about this also, how when an animal is getting ready
They
to
relax
pounce,
and they get
or
free.
or even when a baby is beginning its process, right? There's this process of flexion and then extension, right? This movement between flexion and extension that is our spine, our bodies are so beautifully designed for. How do I reconcile this muscular movement with this relaxation that you're speaking of? Like when you, in your exercises, and maybe we can talk about the exercises, you have one called the walk of power,
Yeah.
where you're literally holding someone back. Can you talk more about that whole process?
Actually, you're not holding somebody back. That person is pulling on the one in front. The one in front is walking. That's the one who's practicing.
Right, but somebody's holding you back, so how
Yeah.
do you keep going, right?
The same way you walk. You just do it. I know that's, I understand. If I could, let me see if I can do anything quite yet. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Except I don't fall anymore because I can really fall. Parkinson's, I try not to. Let's see. Okay, I'm up. Good. Okay. To begin with, you're talking about what I call a pulsatory model. In, out, in, out. I
Right,
don't use that model at all. I'm using a steady state model. It's
okay.
always in and always out with no change, ideally. I've never worked with that pulsatory thing. Okay. Can you see me? Yeah. Okay. A little.
Yeah, we can see you.
You have to see my hips. One of the insights I had in a Aikido class: those who live by the power of arms join armies and die. Those who live by the power of hips become hippies and live. Okay. See what I'm doing here? I'm moving from the hips. Oops. There we go. Most people think this is the hip. That's the hip bone. The hip joint is down here. So if you move here, see what I'm doing? I'm pushing when I walk. I'm pushing with the back foot, transferring the weight to the front foot. Then the new front foot becomes the old front foot becomes the back foot, and you're pushing. If you jump up, you push down to go up. If you push back to go forward, that's what you're doing. If you put the foot out and try to land on it, you'll go nowhere if somebody's holding you back. If you put the foot down and try to move when it's under you, you still can't go anywhere. So this is the source of power. Let me see. I think I have something. Well, this'll do. Now let's see. Don't want to hit the lights up there. If I strike with this, I don't do it from the shoulders or from the waist. I do it from the legs. See what I mean? Notice how my movement gets steady as I go into that kind of feeling, energy, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So I'm sure there is possibly, for different functions, this movement. If somebody's grabbing me from behind, I would do this and then open to it. So I would use this to grab, to take his weight, and then that to throw him. But as a normal course of in the normal course of events, I don't do that pulsatory thing. See how the power is coming from here? And it has to be relaxed. If you push the punch, it goes nowhere. If you reach out with the punch, with all the joy with which you contact somebody you love, hello, nice to see you, nice to see you. Yes, it's so nice to see you. You see what happens? As I get into the feeling of joy, I had a client once who came for one lesson. And I quoted to her one of the brilliant slogans about power and joy, Kraft durch Freude. It's the Hitler Youth slogan, means strength through joy. And it's a brilliant slogan. I feel it's my job to steal it back for the good guys. But you see what I'm saying? I don't differentiate relaxation and love from power. I just don't want effort or stiffness or resignation and collapse.
Right. So this differentiation between what you just described as stiffness versus people's perceived idea of strength is
That's what they,
maybe
no, that the stiffness is what they perceive as strength.
right. That's what I'm saying. That's what people call strength.
Right.
And what you're speaking about in a way, and Feldenkrais talked about it as well. He talked about this idea of a different kind of strength, a strength that emanates from this proper acture, as he called it.
He
Right.
was a martial artist.
Right.
I,
He was.
I saw a lot of the martial art movements in his movement that many of the other people in the training just missed because they didn't have background.
Right.
You know, Jeff Howler,
Sure.
okay, he was in the same training. He told me he walked up to Moshe and said, Moshe, can I feel your judo? Moshe, sitting on the little stool he used, reached out, grabbed his wrist and flipped him. There's no effort. And Howler's big.
Yes, he is.
I don't know how he did it, but Moshe was a martial artist, and a lot of it came through.
Right. No, there's no question that he used the martial arts in the development of the Feldenkrais method. So if someone is watching this and, you know, they're struggling with Parkinson's, is there an exercise in particular that you would be willing to share that a person could embody without having knowledge of martial arts?
Yes, but they have to go back 20 or 30 years before the diagnosis and practice it till they get there.
So there's nothing to be done now?
It depends on the stage you're at
Mm-hmm.
and whether you're a mover. If you're not a mover, you've been a thinker all your life, you don't know where your body is, it's maybe there or over there, you have to start from less than zero. And when you've lost 30% of what is available, and you have to start from less than zero, that's a heck of a thing. I don't know. I haven't taught many parkies. They haven't found their way to me or haven't been interested. I've done a few demonstrations, but nobody seems to pick up on it.
Mm-hmm. But you have found that doing these exercises that you develop has helped you with your Parkinson's.
Yes, a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 5 exercises in that handout. They summarize in many ways 50 years of Aikido practice.
Right. This this handout that Paul's speaking of is something that you can access from the website, the Feel Better, Move Better website. Under Paul's name, I believe, is where it will appear. But maybe you can talk about a couple of these. Like, for example, can we talk about the shining exercise? I really love that one.
That's the antidote to the smallifying. That's where we started. So I have to, my basic model is challenge response. Without an attacker, there's nothing to practice. So the attack can be anything, like playing a passage on the piano or saying, oh, you're ugly, or I love you. Anything can be an attack if it penetrates your boundaries in a way. So if people are willing to think of something that makes them cringe slightly, I don't want anybody to go off the deep end, but you could say, what, television, or whatever makes you cringe. Dead rats. Would you like some live rat guts, lady?
Ew, you're right. That worked. It made me cringe.
Okay. It will usually. Let your tongue hang loose. Let your throat hang loose. Keep your eyes open, please. You don't have to, but it's useful.
Okay. No, that's good. See, this is important. Why do we have to keep our eyes open? I think this is important because people in Feldenkrais world often want to close their eyes.
Which is okay.
It's okay, but why would we open our eyes here?
Shut your eyes, please. Shut your eyes. Now block my punch. Can you? If you're very, 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 very good, maybe. But it's easier with your eyes
Maybe
open.
if you were in the same room and I felt the wind, but you're absolutely right. No, I would have to have my eyes open to be prepared. Thank you.
So it depends on what level. If you're working on finding the body, very helpful to shut your eyes and go totally within. But even when I start with relaxing the core in this context, it's the first step in the opening up to the shining.
Okay.
Because if you're pulling yourself in, you can't shine outwards. So I've given you an attack, rat guts, and you cringe. Let
Mm-hmm.
your tongue hang loose. Let your throat hang loose. Let your chest and your belly hang loose. Let your pelvic floor muscles hang loose. Keep breathing. There was a hospital in New York that did a research study. They discovered that when people stop breathing, they die. So you should keep breathing, I think.
It was a multi-million-dollar study too, I'm sure.
You have to pay the dead people a lot, or they won't come. Keep breathing, even though the jokes are terrible.
My breath changes, of course, when I'm breathing and laughing.
Of course, I distracted you.
You
Nanny,
did.
nanny, boo, boo, as they say.
I'm
So
trying
let your,
to look straight ahead.
you can if you want.
Would you
Let
prefer I
everything,
look at you?
whatever you wish. That's
Okay.
another lesson. Let everything hang loose inside. Rat guts. What happens that time?
It was a little easier to not cringe because I
Okay,
was actually in the middle of a breath and I was focusing on my tongue.
okay. If it's easier a little and you practice, it gets a lot easier.
Right.
When I was first diagnosed, my practice was Parkinson's. Parkinson's. See how I settle down when I do that still? Parkinson's. But it's hard for me to focus outwards totally. Well, not totally, but it's hard for me to talk and still do that. I'm still working on it. In another 20 years, I'm sure I will not tremor at all.
Well, I mean, I did notice that when you were doing your martial moves, your sword strikes and things, that there was much less of a struggle with the tremor.
Yes.
Do you think that that's because your body knows that, or do you think that's, um, the actual form itself that's helping you?
Yes. When you say knows that, I feel that I fairly well, I wouldn't use the word, but I fairly well somewhat mastered some aspects of body work, body education. Aikido, I haven't a clue. Another 30 years and I'll just be scratching the surface. So do I know that? Yes and no. I know more than I did 20 years ago. But the form, okay, if I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and there was a national champion, Japanese champion karate practitioner, a woman, and she was saying, when you kick, don't kick with this part, kick here. Can you see it? Round your tail, kick out from here by tucking. And I had found that for myself through my own experiences. I studied karate. I'd never heard anybody talk about that. But if you pay attention to your body, you find things. And some few other people will find the same things. I also, in the sitting thing, that sitting power, I teach people to feel the hip joints. And there's the chair. It's bad news to miss the chair, especially on film. Where are we? There we are. Put your fingers here, push your tail back, and sit down. You want to try that? It might be, it's probably
Yeah,
something.
I was just going to say, I think it would be great if I try it. So let me just back up a little bit.
As they say, I can't talk without my hands. Put your fingers in your hip joints, which are where the legs fold. Push your tailbone back. Let your chest hang down and stop for a moment. Stop. Don't leave your face on the horizon. Let your face and your head stay with your spine. Don't drop your head either. Just push your tail down and straighten up as you sit. There you go. How does that feel?
That was really cool, actually. I think that in the past, when I've taught that, because we teach people how to get up out of a chair, rehab, or as people are getting older, and the image that has always been given to us is to think about that you've got eyes on your sits bones, but this idea of pushing from here actually helps make it a little bit easier for a person to think of their whole spine.
Let me explain again. As a word freak, you do not have eyes on your sit bones. And
Of course, we know that. It's
no,
an image.
it's an image, but this is not.
Right.
This is
Agreed.
directions for how to use the bones and the muscles.
Right.
One of the things, I'm in the middle of writing a paper, in which I differentiate between high abstraction language and low abstraction language. High abstraction is send your energy to the ends of the universe. I don't know what the hell that means. Somebody does, I guess, but it's so abstract for me.
Mm-hmm.
Feel your skin. Feel you're like a candle or like an ember. You're glowing 3 inches out from your skin. What does that do? Can you feel your skin glowing in every direction? What does that feel like, if you can? There you go. It just clicked, I think.
So how is that not a high abstraction?
Because have you ever seen an ember or a light bulb?
Sure.
Is it abstract to say, think of an ember? That's an ordinary part of your experience. If you say, think of energy going to the end of the universe, I've never seen a universe or an energy or a going. So if I can relate it to an experience that's normal and we have ordinary English to speak about it in a non-metaphorical way, people can do it much more quickly. I could. Talented people can do it anyway. I was never talented as a mover. I was a bookworm. So I needed concrete, limited images. Then I can understand.
Hence, in the Shining exercise, you have people imagine pizza.
Yes, 6 slices of pizza, up, down, left, right, forward, and backward. That people can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to the modern computer technology, I could insert the pizza slices into the subject's world. But you can think of pizza even when it isn't there. In fact, when it isn't there, that's when we think about
it. Some
but,
people do.
Yeah.
I think my husband thinks about pizza a lot. I don't think about it that much.
You should. It's got vitamin P.
Vitamin P?
Yes, from pizza.
Uh-huh.
Notice the shining you just did is the opposite of cringing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So can we go back
yes,
to a subject that I would like you to go into a little bit more detail about, and that's this principle of smallifying, because I think that many times when people are diagnosed with disabilities or are beginning to try to navigate their life through it, there are many reasons that they feel smallifying is the strategy.
Right.
And so this idea of the shining is one way of doing it, but can you talk a little bit about why do we do that, and what could make it more organic to not smallify?
I don't know why we do it. My guess is that it's a survival strategy. Fear, anger, and numbness. If something comes at you, you hear the rustling in the woods, and you think that's probably a chipmunk. Turns out to be a wolf. You say, "Shit, it's a wolf." And if you live, the next time you run from the rustling, even if it's a chipmunk. Or you get afraid and run away, or you get angry and attack the wolf. Or if you're not going to win, you can't run and you can't attack, you get numb, so you won't be there while he eats you. So I think that's its survival strategy. It's screwing up the world big time because it's not meant for this many people all stuffed together. I'm turning the 5 thingy handout specifically in the direction now, rewriting it in the direction of systemic injustice. And how do you stop that in the body? But the point is, if you smallify, any one of the reactions is meant to shield you or make you stronger or numb you. And none of those work. They work better than nothing, but they don't work as well as compassionate power. And that's easily demonstrable physically, not philosophically. So these 5 exercises are my best take at assembling a state of openness and compassion and power. And then you can do whatever you can do. As I said in the essay, the line that seems to get people is, Parkinson's will probably not be a popular path of self-improvement. I'm just applying the same principles to this.
Right. And it's interesting that you said that, because one of the things that we're looking at is we don't choose a disability. It is put up, it's dumped on us. And yet it can become an avenue or a way to help a person grow, evolve, use themselves differently. Can you talk about how, after your diagnosis, how did that shift your practice? How did that shift, or did it?
It didn't, because that's what Aikido is.
Mm-hmm.
The version of the essay I sent you, the title is Practice, Practice, Practice.
Right.
The original title was My Best Uke. Uke is the attacker. You have to walk around and wait to be attacked. With Parkinson's, he's always there, and he'll attack you whenever he wants. And so it's my best attacker in that sense. But it's the same practice. I just didn't ever do Parkinson's. What I did was rape, cancer for my clients. I'd pick whatever word summarized their fear and their pain and say, Parkinson's, yes. I had one client with MS, and we did, you know what samurai patty cake is?
No.
Okay. I don't think the samurai would have played patty cake in the ordinary way. I don't think they played patty cake at all. But if they did, this is samurai patty cake. And you both slam each other. The guy who wins is the guy who throws the other guy down. So my client was shouting, MS! I was shouting, Parkinson's! It was great fun, and he understood. So it didn't shift the nature of my practice. I just did different versions of it because I needed different things. If you're trying to swing a golf club or take a swing at your boss, you need the same body awareness, but the details are different.
Right.
So the practice, once you get it, you can make up new exercises, but it's always the same thing: power and compassion, awareness and flow, and presence.
And let's talk about compassion, because you said it's not philosophy, it's physiology. So what is the physiology of compassion?
Okay. How do you feel about, what do you feel when you see me going into this pain? I'm going to die from this stuff. Sometimes I can't move. How do you feel as you look at me now?
Well, of course I feel compassion.
That isn't, okay. What do you do in your body, which is the feeling you're naming compassion?
So if I were to break it down, certainly my breath changed.
My
posture changed.
In what way?
In what way?
In what way? Because otherwise, I don't know what you mean.
My breath, my exhale became a little bit longer, and I found that I went from being straight on to softening, sideways a little bit. I'm not sure what happened to my face because I was watching you at the same time.
I'll tell you about my lobster fantasy in a while.
I'm assuming that's not a non sequitur, that you're gonna come back to that.
Yeah. Basically, what you did was you lost your vertical axis.
Right. I agree.
Does that make you stronger or weaker? If you had to lift me off the floor to get me out of a building,
it would definitely not make me stronger in the sense of having to lift someone. It made me feel more receptive, open, responsive to you.
Freeze. Receptive and open. Can you straighten up and say that? I'm a real pest, I understand.
No, that's okay. I think it's really important. So to me, when I'm straight like this, I feel attentive, I feel clear, I feel present, but I don't feel compassionate.
That's if you don't feel that attentive clarity, I don't call it compassion. I call it overly sympathizing, taking in their pain. I've worked with a lot of therapists who, at the end of the day, their clients go away and they've got all this accumulated pain. As an Aikidist, as a martial artist, I have to be exquisitely aware of the attacker. I have to know what he or she is doing, taste their movement, but I can't let them in. If I let their blood come into me, I can't do anything. Mm-hmm. I have to be with them engaged with them, respectful of them, friendly toward them, and in control. But if a child were bleeding, you say, "Oh, blood," you're very sympathetic, very compassionate, but you can't help. So there's got to be that vertical pole for this approach, for this purpose.
Right. And here's where we get into kind of the sticking point of different people's perception of words and language and things
Right.
like that.
Right.
Because for me, when I work with people, especially when I'm working with people one-on-one, or if I have a student that has a problem, this is where I am, because it allows me to listen to them in a particular way and be very clear and supportive and helpful.
Right.
I feel with them, but I'm not necessarily, what's the right word? I believe that one can have choice in one's postures. For example, I can choose to do this in order to allow the other person to feel, oh, she's with me. When I'm like this, they know I'm being present and attentive. I might be in myself experiencing connection and compassion for that person, but they might not necessarily feel as comfortable as when I soften and say, and I'm no threat, right?
You think back to my first attack. I
Mm-hmm.
threw tissues at you. I
Mm-hmm.
yelled at you. You had too many noses.
Mm-hmm.
I find that if for the longest time I thought I had assembled a really brilliant set of techniques, and people kept telling me it's because you're kind. They feel that you care about them. I didn't understand that. It took me the last 20, 30 years to understand that. So this is what I've changed myself into, although I must have had the seeds of it before I was aware of it. But if I make stupid jokes and giggle and play and attack you in such a way as to say, I'm no threat to you. You can deal with this idiot. People trust me because they feel that I'm waiting for them to win. I'm wanting them to win. When I work with abuse survivors, if somebody has been pinned at a certain point, long into the work, when it's safe over there, I will pin them in exactly the way they were pinned. And by then they'll understand, and I can show them what to do. And they throw me off. And they sit up with this glorious smile, this smile of, I'm free. He can't do that. She can't do that to me ever again. I had one woman who came in one day for a session. We'd gotten pretty far along. She had to go back to her father's house to pick up a package. When she was little, he would get angry at her, choke her unconscious, and rape her. So he got angry at her again. Notice what you did in your
I know
breathing.
exactly what I did. I know exactly what I did.
And what she did was all the lessons came back, and she breathed, took him by the arms as he came to choke her, spun him around, threw him up against the wall, and said, "You cannot do that to me." And she walked out, and she looked like a queen when she came to the session. She was glorious. She was brilliant. But if you don't go through that, if you say, my client shouldn't be attacked because that's making her unsafe, that's making him unsafe, it'll be re-traumatizing. You're tacitly saying, safety comes from me because I won't attack you. And it does, of course, but in the end, it has to come from them. So if the client feels that you're really rooting for them, I had one woman who was holding my hand like a little girl would hold her father's hand. The other hand, I was attacking her. And as long as she felt my support, she could trash me on the other side. See how graphic that is? If they feel that I care and I want them to win against me when I role play the attack, there's no question of trust. I don't have to lose my vertical core to make them feel I trust them, to make them feel they trust me, or somebody trusts somebody, I guess.
So, how do you feel about this idea of Feldenkrais that we use when we work one-on-one with people in functional integration? That I meet the person where that person is. I meet you where you are.
What do you mean by that?
What do
I
you
know what
mean?
I would.
I know what I mean by that, but I want to know what you feel about that. What I mean by that is that I don't try to, for example, I would not use an attack because that's not my way, and I just wait and see what is happening with that person in order to be able to help them do it better, in order for them to help them find another strategy. But what do you like if somebody comes in, you don't always use this attack metaphor.
Yes,
It's
I
not a
do.
metaphor.
I
It,
do. I don't necessarily attack them physically. I have never had anybody come in and say, Paul, everything in my life goes so well. Can you change that? They come in and say, this isn't working. That's their
mm,
attack. So I meet them where they are, in the sense I don't tell them to go farther. I don't tell them to do it right. I just say, what do you do in your body when this attack happens? When the piano string breaks in the middle of a concert, when whatever. That's their attack. If there's no challenge, if there's no problem, they don't need to be here. So
mhm.
what I do, I have an iterative process that's basic and fundamental. What do you do in your body when you say the word canoe? And when you say the word canoe and you feel this, does anything else change in your body? Where? Over here? What do you do when you point at that spot? And we follow it around the body. I'll give you an example. And many of my examples are self-defense examples. I apologize, but that's just what I work with. A woman came to me. Her job involved heavy lifting. I noticed as I watched her walk around my office and lift various things, before she would move to lift something, she turned very slightly to the right. I wouldn't tell her that, of course, because then I'd be taking over her awareness and telling her, I'm right, I see you, you don't. And I'll tell you about the lobster in a minute. But I said, here, lift this, lift that. What do you do with this, 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 this? Finally, she said, oh, I turned to the right. Why? I said, I don't know. Why do you turn to the right? And all of a sudden, her eyes got big. And she said, oh, I know what it is. My ex-husband, hit me with a crowbar and raped me from that side. And this is the movement that I tried. And it didn't work. So I don't think of symptoms as being symptoms. They're not intrusive thoughts or whatever. There's some part of the self, body, whatever, trying to replay it and do it right this time. But you can't do it right. If you don't speak the language, you can't do it from your inner resources. You have to have somebody teach you. Then you can use it and do it right. See what I mean? Then du sprichst kein Deutsch. You can't, if you don't understand the language, you can't just speak it. So I bring, the fundamentals are always the same. Open, breathe, etc., etc. Those are the fundamentals. Those are basic. But if you have to protect yourself against a strike with a crowbar, you have no resources for that. There were 1,000 years of civil war in Japan and China. They had plenty of time to come up with some very interesting techniques, and I'm the heir to them. And I don't teach Aikido in terms of techniques. I teach in terms of when the person moves this way, can you feel where they're going? Can you go with them? And then I say, once you go with them that way, what can you reach? What can you do to whatever you reach? See what I'm saying? So it's an algorithm of awareness that I use, but it starts with a problem. I take them through the fundamental feeling of the problem. Then when it's necessary, I show them, you could do this. This will work more efficiently. So I showed her, don't stop the crowbar. It's much too heavy. Come in and hug the guy and turn, step back. Wham! I went down like a shot, and she glowed. When people feel that they can throw me and that I'm rooting for them, then they feel that it's okay to throw me. And then they'll learn that it's okay to throw anybody who's trying to hurt them. It's not desirable, but it may be necessary. It's not evil. It's what we do. We try to protect ourselves. You see how I'm going from the relaxed core to and soft breathing to the shining compassion is what you feel, what you do in your body when you think of somebody you love. So if I can trick my body into being compassionate toward my attacker, after a while I don't have to trick it anymore. I'll just respond by feeling friendly toward him and throwing him or her if I need to. Then the power sitting is where you get the power to sit and be stable. The power walking is where you get to apply that on the earth to the process of going through life. So those 5 exercises I find very helpful. I've got dozens more, But these are simple and easy and quick. But you see, I'm working a progression, and there's no real progression. Wherever you start, you should have done the others first. Now I'll tell you about the lobster.
I was about to ask.
Good. I've piqued your curiosity. Unfortunately, well, I always started by saying, if you know better, don't destroy my fantasy. Somebody who came from Maine destroyed it. I always thought the eyes in a lobster were on the tip of the stalk. So I thought, oh, they could turn their eyes in and look themselves straight in the eye and see what the hell's going on in there. We can't. Our eyes point out. So I used that to say, well, of course you're more aware of me than of you. Our eyes point out. If you were a lobster, she said, that's not where the eyes are. That took care of that fantasy. I have to go with Martians or snails or something.
Well, yeah, or flies maybe, because flies
Oh.
have all those different eyes. I don't know. Well, Paul, this has been a most interesting conversation, and I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be getting a lot out of those 5 exercises. I wondered if there was anything you wanted to say in closing to everyone about, well, about anything really, but again, this track is about how we make abilities out of our disabilities, and if there's any kind of closing remarks that you would like to share about that for the people who are struggling and who maybe have not as many resources as you have from your training.
Mm-hmm. A couple things that I can think of right off, and then I'll say something important afterwards. Life is a good news, bad news joke. The good news is that through pain and suffering, we gain wisdom. The bad news is that there's more good news coming. Right. And this one, that one I made up a number of years ago in the middle of a session of some sort. This one just occurred to me last week. Do you know what the Beatles' first song about a lizard was?
The first song about a lizard?
Yes. Iguana, hold your hand. I know. It was misdirection. They didn't have any songs about lizards and iguanas, not lizards, but even so. Okay, now I'll say something important if I can think of something. How did you feel when I make that really dumb joke?
uh, I can't say, I can't put a word to it.
It was fun.
Light would be the word.
That is what I try to do with my Parkinson's. I know there's a temptation to say, oh shit, poor me, I'm going to be tortured and all kinds of stuff. And you will be, but that's okay. I used to start off workshops by saying, I'm here to shake things up. But now I start off workshops by saying, I used to tell this joke that I'm here to shake things up, but I'm not going to tell it today. So be light. And that's not philosophy. That is something you have to train your body to do. Anything else I can think of? Important. Yeah, hello. I love you. In a way, all of you.
Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you
Thanks
for
for
giving of your time and your wisdom. And I hope to see you again someday soon.
I hope so too. I enjoyed this. Thank you for the honor, Lavinia.
It was a pleasure.